The Centurion flagship Star Weaver emerged from hyperspace near Earth's solar system, its crystalline hull catching the sunlight in spectacular displays. On the observation deck, Ambassador Relin watched through the viewport, his iridescent scales flickering between deep blue and green with excitement. This should have been just another standard first encounter with a developing species, but the sensor data was raising concerns he couldn't quite shake. His science officer, Tekler, called out from her workstation, her tentacles moving frantically as she processed the incoming information. The readings didn't make sense. Ambassador, I'm seeing major discrepancies here. These humans are operating with clashing technology levels that don't fit any normal progression pattern. They're burning ancient fossil fuels right alongside antimatter reactors. Their cities mix basic electrical systems with quantum communication networks. It's like they're intentionally blending cutting-edge science with outdated methods. Relin suggested they might have simply advanced unevenly across different fields, though his scales rippled with uncertainty. 300 years as a diplomat had never brought him face-to-face with anything remotely similar. Drawing closer to Earth revealed even stranger details. The humans had pinpointed their arrival immediately, despite supposedly lacking sophisticated detection equipment. The landing coordinates in Nevada were calibrated exactly to their vessel's requirements, yet Earth claimed no prior alien encounters. The reception party consisted of only 3 humans, with no press coverage, no military presence, and no public. Panic. Just 2 women and 1 man dressed casually, waiting peacefully under the desert sun. Tekler voiced her concerns as they readied for departure. Their conduct contradicts every first contact guideline in our records. Relin agreed silently, but knew they had to proceed. As the boarding ramp lowered, he mentally rehearsed his formal greeting about bringing humanity into the galactic fold. Those prepared words vanished when one of the humans approached. "Welcome to our world, Ambassador Relin," she said in flawless Centurion, her accent perfect. "I'm Dr. Emily Chen, Earth's diplomatic liaison. I hope your passage through the Orion sector went smoothly. The solar winds there can get rough during this season." Relin's secondary heart stuttered. They hadn't disclosed their flight path, and how could she possibly know about stellar conditions in their territory? "You understand our speech," he managed, fighting to keep his composure. Dr. Chen's warm smile never wavered. "We believe in being ready. Let me take you to a space we've arranged matching Centurion atmospheric requirements, though I should mention our technology might appear somewhat inconsistent." The building she guided them toward looked like ordinary concrete construction. Yet Relin's scanner picked up energy signatures far beyond Earth's presumed capabilities. The entrance used an old-fashioned manual handle, but inside, the air composition was precisely tuned to Centurion biology, down to microscopic trace elements. "Please settle in," Dr. Chen said, indicating seats that appeared to be plain metal yet automatically conformed to Centurion body structure. "Can we offer you anything? We've managed to create your customary greeting beverage, though some guests enjoy trying human coffee instead." Tekler's tentacles coiled tightly. "How is it even possible for you to produce that?" The male human interrupted with a kind smile, introducing himself as Dr. James Martinez, technological consultant. "We excel at solving puzzles." Relin accepted a cup of the dark human drink, observing how the apparently simple ceramic maintained exactly the right temperature without visible mechanisms. Each small detail reinforced his mounting suspicion that something enormous about humanity remained hidden. "I suspect," Dr. Chen began as she sat down, "you have many questions. Let's address the one you haven't voiced yet. Why would beings capable of synthesizing alien biochemistry and constructing quantum atmospheric systems pretend to struggle with fossil fuel technology?" Relin's scales turned deep purple with shock. "You're openly acknowledging this facade?" "Deception suggests malicious purpose," the third human said, speaking her first words. She gave her name as General Sarah Williams. "We see it more as keeping perspective. Sometimes older methods hold real value, Ambassador. Not every challenge needs the most sophisticated answer." Tekler pressed forward. But why? Why deliberately seem backward? Dr. Chen's smile carried a touch of melancholy. Because genuine wisdom isn't about possessing the most advanced tools. It's about understanding when and how to apply them. Humanity grasped this truth ages ago. Perhaps now we can help others learn the same. Right on cue, alarms erupted throughout the building. General Williams checked what looked like an ordinary wristwatch, but projected holographic data surpassing anything in the Centurion fleet. "Perfect timing," she said gravely. "Ambassador, it seems the universe prefers showing over telling. We're picking up multiple vessels exiting hyperspace, raiders from the Craxan expanse. They've been attacking developing planets, and they think Earth is vulnerable." Dr. Chen rose, her friendly diplomatic manner transforming into something timeless and formidable. "Would you care to witness what humanity truly can do, Ambassador? We've been shielding younger species from dangers like this since before your people discovered space travel." Relin watched in amazement as the plain concrete walls around them shifted, unveiling a command facility that made his flagship's bridge seem like a toy. The reality of humanity was about to become crystal clear, and he sensed the galaxy would be forever changed. The Craxan raiders never understood what happened. Their heavily armed vessels simply froze mid-space, caught as if suspended in invisible amber. No explosions, no dramatic combat, just instantaneous immobilization. Localized space-time manipulation fields, Dr. Martinez explained casually to the stunned Centurion visitors. Much cleaner than conventional weapons. Creates less administrative headaches, too. Ambassador Relin observed as the raider craft were carefully shepherded into holding orbits around Earth's moon. His scales had turned pure white, a sign of absolute astonishment among his kind. "You command technology capable of controlling space-time itself, yet your cities still consume fossil fuels and other primitive energy sources?" General Williams replied, her fingers moving across what resembled an antique mechanical keyboard, yet somehow directed the most sophisticated systems Raylan had witnessed. "The raiders are contained, Dr. Chen. Should we proceed to the next phase?" Dr. Chen nodded before addressing their guests. "Ambassador, we've been concealing our nature for millennia, steering younger species from behind the scenes, but something approaches that demands we take a more direct role." Before Raylan could respond, fresh alerts flashed on the command center displays. Light years distant at the edge of Centurion space, an archaeological expedition had just uncovered a finding that would shatter the galaxy's historical understanding. The team leader, Dr. Vexa, stared at her results in disbelief. The relics she'd discovered didn't merely predate known civilizations, they were human in origin. Her hands shook as she activated her quantum transmitter. "Central Command," she reported. "I've located evidence proving humans traveled the stars when my ancestors were still learning to create fire." The Nevada Command Center displayed her transmission in real time. Dr. Chen smiled gently. "Right according to schedule. Ambassador, would you like to understand why we've kept up our technological masquerade all this time?" She gestured, and the facility walls became transparent, revealing enormous underground complexes extending for miles. Ancient starships, temporal observatories, and devices that defied explanation stood beside simple steam engines and combustion motors. "Humanity reached space millions of years in the past," Dr. Martinez explained. "We constructed empires, waged wars that extinguished stars and wielded forces no species should control. Then we realized something that nearly ended us. Technology divorced from wisdom leads straight to extinction." General Williams brought up historical records that made Tekler's tentacles curl in horror. "We came within a hair's breadth of destroying ourselves countless times before understanding that true progress isn't about having the strongest tools. It's about recognizing when not to employ them." Throughout the galaxy, more findings poured in. Human artifacts millions of years old, scattered across thousands of worlds, each telling the same narrative of an ancient civilization that achieved godlike abilities and deliberately stepped away. "We founded Earth as a sanctuary," Dr. Chen continued. A place to remember where we came from, to maintain balance. Those fossil fuel facilities you mentioned, they remind us of progress's cost without careful thought. The simple machines teach us humility. Every piece of basic technology serves a role in our development curriculum. Development curriculum? Relan asked, his diplomatic training struggling to process these implications. For ourselves and others, Dr. Martinez smiled. We've been guiding younger species, helping them sidestep our mistakes. Those raiders we just neutralized? Tomorrow they'll awaken with no memory of today, but with an inexplicable new comprehension of why conquest fails. Suddenly, every screen in the facility blazed with urgent warnings. Dr. Chen's face turned serious. And now you grasp why we're coming forward. Something is waking out there. Something we battled eons ago. Something requiring us to stop hiding and start preparing the galaxy's younger peoples for what's approaching. The images revealed a darkness spreading between stars, a void consuming light itself. General Williams' ancient-looking wristwatch projected a countdown that made the humans' expressions turn grim. Ambassador? Dr. Chen said quietly, your people call yourselves the Centurion Alliance, masters of known space. But there are regions beyond knowledge, threats we've been containing since before your ancestors discovered fire. It's time for humanity to emerge from the shadows, not as rulers but as guides. And if we decline your teaching? Tekler asked, her scientific doubt battling the evidence surrounding her. Dr. Martinez chuckled. My dear, you've been receiving our guidance for centuries. Every mysterious scientific breakthrough, every seemingly impossible leap forward, we've been there, nudging, suggesting, protecting. The only difference now is we're being open about it. As if to prove his point, a section of the facility floor turned transparent, revealing a massive hangar filled with vessels that made the Centurion flagship look like a primitive canoe. Yet among these marvels stood museums of simple machines, preserved as carefully as any ancient treasure. The question isn't whether you'll accept our teaching, General Williams said, her eyes fixed on the spreading darkness in the long-range scans. The question is whether the galaxy's younger peoples are prepared to learn what humanity discovered millions of years ago. The most advanced civilization isn't the one with the strongest weapons, but the one wise enough to understand when not to use them. The facility's alarms began harmonizing, a sound that somehow conveyed both danger and promise. Humanity's disguise was ending, and the galaxy's true history was about to be rewritten. Deep within Earth's Mariana Trench, in a facility that bent light around itself, Commander Maya Patel studied the Time Wall, thousands of holographic displays showing critical moments across the galaxy. Civilizations taking their first ventures into space, species teetering on the edge of self-destruction, and countless instances where humanity's unseen influence had gently steered the cosmos toward wisdom instead of catastrophe. Status update, she commanded, her plain cotton uniform masking her authority over technology capable of reshaping reality. The Centurion delegation is handling the revelation admirably, her AI companion Delta responded, its avatar appearing as a simple blue glow, another example of humanity's deliberate technological restraint. Dr. Chen is preparing to reveal the archives. Maya nodded, watching another screen show Dr. Vex's archaeological team discovering more human artifacts. The young alien scientists' findings were no coincidence. Humanity had been carefully orchestrating this revelation for centuries. They're prepared for Phase 3, Maya decided. Activate the Awakening Protocol. Across the galaxy, seemingly dormant human technology began stirring. Not weapons or warships, but something far more powerful, knowledge. Carefully preserved and protected until the younger peoples were ready to comprehend it. Back in Nevada, Ambassador Relin and Tekler followed Dr. Chen through a doorway that defied possibility, a simple wooden door that somehow connected Nevada to the heart of Mount Everest. This is the first archive, Dr. Chen explained as they entered a vast chamber carved into the mountain's core. We maintain similar repositories across Earth and throughout the galaxy, each safeguarding different aspects of our history and understanding. The chamber was a study in paradox. Quantum computers operated alongside counting frames. Digital displays shared space with paper volumes. And at the center, a simple wooden table held what appeared to be an ordinary cup of water. "Your first test," Dr. Martinez said, gesturing toward the cup. "Tell us what you observe." Tekler waved her analytical tentacles over the vessel. "It's just water. No, wait." Her instruments were reporting impossible readings. "This water is perfect. Molecularly perfect. Every atom arranged with mathematical precision that shouldn't exist naturally. The simplest things often carry the deepest meaning," General Williams remarked. "This cup demonstrates why humanity chose to retreat from godlike power. We learned to create perfect water, yes, but in doing so, we almost forgot the beauty of a single raindrop. The chamber's walls transformed, displaying humanity's true history. They watched as human civilization rose and fell multiple times, each cycle reaching further into the cosmos, wielding greater power, until finally achieving something beyond mere technological dominance: wisdom. We were children playing with fusion bombs," Dr. Martinez explained. "We could split atoms before truly understanding why we shouldn't. We could reshape planets before learning to appreciate them as they were. Each time we fell, we rose again, until finally grasping the responsibility that accompanies power." Suddenly, alarms echoed through the facility, but these were different from the earlier warnings. These sounds carried an ancient weight that made even the humans pause. "The Void Heralds," General Williams announced grimly. "They're awakening faster than we predicted." The chamber's displays shifted to show the spreading darkness between stars. But now Relin and Tekler could perceive what they'd missed before: patterns in the void, purpose in the darkness. This wasn't some natural phenomenon. It was the return of something humanity had fought eons ago. "Before we reveal more," Dr. Chen said, her voice carrying the weight of millions of years of human experience, "you need to understand what we've been protecting you from. The Void Heralds aren't merely an enemy. They're a test that every spacefaring civilization must face. They embody the temptation to use power without wisdom, to take without understanding the cost of taking. We fought them," General Williams continued, "back when we were like them, drunk on our own power, certain of our superiority. The war ravaged galaxies, and in the end, we learned that victory wasn't about having the strongest weapons." Dr. Martinez approached the cup of perfect water and added a single drop of ordinary rain. The perfect molecular alignment shattered, creating something new, something natural and imperfect and beautiful. "Sometimes," he said softly, "the most advanced solution is knowing when to embrace imperfection. The Void Heralds cannot comprehend this," Dr. Chen added. "They seek perfection through power, order through dominance. They're what humanity might have become if we hadn't learned to step back." The facility hummed with energy as more of humanity's hidden technology awakened, not to fight, but to prepare, to teach, to guide, to help the galaxy's younger peoples understand what had taken humanity millions of years to learn. "Your people aren't ready to wield our highest technologies," Dr. Chen told the Centurion delegates, "but you're ready to begin understanding why we chose not to wield them ourselves. The question is, are you prepared to learn?" As if in answer, the darkness between stars pulsed, and across the galaxy, younger civilizations looked up at their skies in fear and wonder. Humanity's time in the shadows was ending, not with a display of force, but with an offer of guidance. The true test was about to begin. In Earth's orbital ring, carefully hidden behind holographic clouds, Sarah Chen watched the galaxy prepare for conflict. Not with weapons, humanity had learned better, but with understanding. The Centurion delegation had spread the word, and now representatives from 1,000 species were arriving, each discovering that Earth's supposedly primitive space stations were gateways to technologies beyond their imagination. "They're adjusting well," Ambassador Relin noted, his scales now a thoughtful shade of blue-green after 3 weeks of revelations. He'd become an eager student of humanity's philosophy, though some still demand access to your advanced weapons. "Of course they do," Sarah smiled, watching a holographic display showing civilizations across the galaxy, discovering carefully planted human artifacts. "We did too once. The hardest lesson we learned was that the most powerful weapon isn't a weapon at all. The station's observation deck shifted, its seemingly glass windows becoming a vast display of the approaching Void Heralds. The darkness between stars had purpose now, moving with terrible intelligence. "They're not just an enemy," Sarah explained, gesturing to patterns that only humanity's ancient understanding could perceive. "They're a reflection of what happens when a civilization gains power without wisdom. We know. We nearly became them." Deep in the Horsehead Nebula, Dr. Vexa made another discovery. This time she wasn't alone. Human archaeologists worked alongside her team, revealing layers of history that had been hidden in plain sight. "This is impossible," she whispered, examining a device that appeared to be both ancient and brand new. "The quantum dating shows it's millions of years old, but it's still functioning perfectly because it was designed to," explained Dr. James Martinez, who had quietly appeared beside her. "Some technology doesn't need to be flashy or powerful. Sometimes the most advanced solution is the one that endures." The device activated, projecting a history that made Vexa's species' proudest achievements seem like a child's first steps. But it wasn't a history of conquest or technological superiority. It was a record of humanity's failures, their lessons, their growth. Back on Earth, in a classroom that defied normal space-time, General Williams addressed representatives from across the galaxy. The room appeared to be a simple lecture hall, but each attendee experienced it in their own atmospheric conditions, their own gravity, their own way of perceiving reality. "The Void Heralds aren't coming to destroy you," she explained, her voice translated perfectly into 1,000 languages. "They're coming to offer you what they offered us millions of years ago: power without price, advancement without wisdom, perfection without understanding." The room's walls became transparent, revealing the true Earth beneath its carefully maintained disguise. Vast cities existed out of phase with normal space-time, technologies that could reshape reality and yet scattered throughout. Preserved examples of humanity's simpler tools and machines. "We keep these." Williams gestured to a preserved steam engine. "Not because we need them, but because they remind us of something crucial. Every tool, no matter how simple or advanced, has a lesson to teach." In orbit, Sarah led Ambassador Reland through a door that opened into the heart of Jupiter's Great Red Spot. Here, in a storm that had raged for centuries, humanity maintained one of its most important facilities. Not a weapons platform or a shield generator, but a library. "Your people believe the storm is a natural phenomenon," she explained as they walked through halls containing the accumulated knowledge of millions of years. "In a way, it is. We learned long ago that the best hiding places are the ones that don't look like hiding places at all." The facility's alerts suddenly changed tone, not warning but recognition. The Void Heralds had begun their approach to occupied space, and their message was the same one they'd offered humanity eons ago: surrender to perfection. "Why maintain the deception for so long?" Relan asked, watching as the darkness approached. "Why not simply demonstrate your power and guide the galaxy openly?" Sarah's smile held millions of years of human experience. "Because true leadership isn't about showing power. It's about teaching others to use their own power wisely. We didn't hide because we were afraid. We hid because some lessons can only be learned through experience." Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden guardians emerged from their cover of primitive technology, not with weapons or shields, but with something far more powerful: understanding. As the Void Heralds approached, humanity prepared to teach the galaxy's younger peoples the hardest lesson they'd ever learned: that the strongest defense against the darkness isn't technology or weapons, but the wisdom to know why you shouldn't need them. "The true test," Sarah said, watching the galaxy's younger peoples prepare for what was coming, "isn't whether we can defeat the Void Heralds. It's whether we can teach you to understand why they're already defeated, not by our power, but by our choice to use it differently." The darkness between stars grew closer, but now it faced something it had never encountered before: a humanity that had spent millions of years preparing not for war, but for understanding. The Void Heralds arrived not with violence but with a whisper that echoed across civilized space. Their message was simple, seductive. Accept our gift of perfection. In Earth's primary command center, buried in the quantum realm beneath Antarctica, Maya Patel stood before representatives of 10,000 worlds. The chamber appeared to be a simple auditorium, but it existed simultaneously in every major capital of every spacefaring people. "Watch carefully," she said, as the Void Heralds' first demonstration began. Around a distant star, reality itself seemed to crystallize, transforming an entire solar system into a mathematically perfect structure. "This is what we refused eons ago," Ambassador Relland said, his scales shifting to deep gold, wonder tinged with fear. "It's beautiful," he admitted. "Yes," Sarah Chen agreed, standing beside him, "just as a perfectly aligned crystal is beautiful, and just as dead." The display shifted, showing the transformed system in spectrums beyond normal space. Where there had been a vibrant ecosystem of planets, now there was only sterile perfection. Where there had been evolution and change, now there was only stasis. "We almost accepted their gift," Dr. Martinez explained, his simple clothing now revealed as an interface with technologies beyond comprehension. "We nearly became them, perfect, unchanging, empty. Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden guardians activated their final protocol. Not a weapon, not a shield, but a lesson written in the language of reality itself. Every piece of primitive technology they'd maintained, every simple machine they'd preserved, began to tell its story. In the Centurion capital, steam engines revealed quantum equations hidden in their steam patterns. On distant worlds, internal combustion engines demonstrated principles of cosmic expansion in their firing cycles. Simple wooden doors became gateways to understanding that transcended normal space-time. The Void. Herald's perfect crystal ships approached Earth. Their message unchanged: accept perfection, and chaos becomes eternal. Maya stepped forward, her voice carrying to every world, every species, every being capable of understanding. "We offer something different," she said. "Not perfection, but growth. Not stasis, but change. Not power, but wisdom." The simple cup of water from the first archive appeared before every representative, but now they could see what humanity had seen millions of years ago, that in its very imperfection lay the seeds of something greater than perfection, your civilizations. "Look at humanity's primitive technology and see weakness," General Williams announced. The Void Heralds look at it and see inefficiency, but look deeper. The chamber's quantum displays revealed the truth humanity had hidden for so long. Every primitive technology they maintained contained patterns that echoed through reality itself. The smoke from steam engines traced paths that matched galactic evolution. The rhythm of internal combustion mapped the heartbeat of space-time. "We didn't maintain these technologies because we needed them," Sarah explained, as understanding dawned in the eyes of 10,000 species. "We maintain them because they teach something. The Void Heralds can never understand. That perfection is not the absence of flaws, but the acceptance of them, the Void." Herald's crystal ships paused as their sensors detected something impossible. Humanity wasn't fighting back with weapons or shields. Instead, they were doing something far more dangerous. They were teaching. Across the galaxy, younger peoples began to understand. They saw how humanity's seemingly primitive technologies contained profound truths. They recognized that the choice to use simple tools alongside advanced ones wasn't weakness, but wisdom. "The Void Heralds offer perfection without understanding," Maya continued. "We offer understanding without the promise of perfection. The choice has always been yours." In that moment, as crystal ships hung motionless in space, the galaxy's younger peoples made their choice. Not with weapons or technology, but with understanding. They chose imperfection. They chose growth. They chose life. The Void. Herald's perfect crystal ships began to dissolve, not from any weapon, but from contact with something they couldn't comprehend. The beauty of imperfection. The strength of weakness, the power of choosing not to use power. This was always the test, Sarah told Ambassador Relland as they watched the darkness between stars recede. Not whether you could defeat them, but whether you could understand why they had already lost. Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden technologies powered down, not in surrender, but in victory. They had accomplished what no weapon could. They had taught the galaxy's younger peoples why the most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most power, but the one wise enough to know why power isn't the answer. What now? Relin asked, his scales shifting to a color that had no name, the color of understanding. Maya smiled, picking up a simple pencil from her desk. Now we teach you everything else we've learned, not because we're superior, but because every teacher was once a student, and every student becomes a teacher. The darkness between stars had lifted, and in its place was something greater than perfection, the endless possibility of growth, change, and wisdom. Humanity stepped fully into the light, not as conquerors or saviors, but as teachers ready to share the hardest lesson they'd ever learned, that true advancement isn't about reaching the stars, but about understanding why we reach for them at all.